Mr. Mogren, the head CEO of Moby Dick Studios, and it's great to have you with us here today, Mr. Mogren.
Hi, Jeff.
It's great to see you again. It's only been a few weeks since we chatted. You look a little bit different, but how was your flight over?
Very tired.
Yeah, it's a long flight from Sweden. Your eyes, it seems like they don't move very much. Could you blink for me?
Yes. Wait a minute. Oh.
Mr. Kojima! Surprise! As we go through the trailer, there's an interesting moment at the beginning where you see what seems like three people on the bed, because it feels like you're seeing from someone's perspective, and then at the end there's a line, well, what about him? And you cut out. Who is that third character that we're seeing from his perspective at the beginning? Is that a new character or someone that we know from the Metal Gear universe?
That's actually me. That's Hideo Kojima. So, in a way, I'm a phantom as well.
Here we are, Mr. Kojima. No more secrets. Today you finally confirmed Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, for Moby Dick Studio. You are, though, the game director, and this is great because we can finally now talk about this game. We can answer a lot of the questions that the fans have about this game. So I guess the first thing everyone's probably wondering is this whole Moby Dick Studio thing, Mr. Mogren. Why did you decide to keep this such a secret about the fact that this was Metal Gear Solid 5?
There are several reasons for this. One is that I think horror fans, myself included in this, wanted to do something really interesting in the social space. I think it's been kind of dull lately, and we wanted to do something to really energize the community. And the second reason for doing this is we wanted to evaluate the Fox engine. So we wanted to put the game out without revealing that it was Metal Gear Solid, and just see how well it would do just based on the visuals of the Fox engine.
I think 2 years ago when we sat down at Comic-Con in San Diego, and if people ever wonder how far ahead you think about these things, you outlined this whole plan to me many years ago about how we were going to talk about Moby Dick and this long plan. So you've been thinking about this for a number of years, about this this strategy, right? Were you surprised how quickly people at the VGAs, how quickly the fans figured out that it was Metal Gear Solid 5?
So, honestly, we knew that people were going to know what it was, more or less, but we were surprised that they were actually able to guess the exact title. We knew from the beginning that it wouldn't be a secret. We wanted fans to realize this. It was kind of a service to the fans, saying that, hey, here's the inside joke. We know what it is, but, just play along with it. And we're happy that fans did realize what it was and did play along with it.
And obviously, I think people have been having a lot of fun online. Even that interview I did with the supposed Mr. Mogren a few weeks ago, all the fans were wondering, is it real? Is it made with Fox Engine? And it was a real guy. We got, he was that guy was just someone that you sort of hired to sort of pretend to be Mr. Mogren?
Honestly, I wanted to be here in person, wearing this mask and have an interview with you. But unfortunately, I was very busy preparing for this GDC presentation. So, we found a Swedish guy to kind of stand in and do that interview.
You go to great lengths to protect the mystery around this game. So let's get into, what the Phantom Pain is. I think that I was talking to a lot of fans on social media, as you said, to ask them what they wanted me to talk to you about. And a lot of people, I think, are a little confused about, we showed Ground Zeroes at PAX last year, and there was the Phantom Pain at VGAs. Now you're saying this is Metal Gear Solid 5, and we saw some new footage in this, but also footage of, from Ground Zeroes and from the VGAs. So how is the Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes, are they different games, or is it all Metal Gear Solid 5? How does that work?
Ground Zeroes っていうのは
So to explain how these things fit together, Ground Zeroes is basically a prologue. And this takes place about 9 years prior to Phantom Pain. So Phantom Pain takes place 9 years after Ground Zeroes. But put together, these two pieces comprise Metal Gear Solid 5. And the Phantom Pain is, the main part of the game, and it's really a huge game.
So when are they going to, you're going to buy Metal Gear Solid 5 and you'll get this all together, or how do you experience it?
So we can't comment just yet on how these things will be distributed and sold. But what we can say is that, Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes will be two parts of a whole, and Ground Zeroes will come first. It'll kind of be Phantom Pain on a smaller scale. So it'll be open world, but not quite as big as Phantom Pain. So it'll allow the user to jump in, learn how to sneak, in real time in that world, that open world. And then later on, after they kind of get used to that, then Phantom Pain will come along, and they'll be thrown into this huge, gigantic open world. So it's a two-step process to game design, and together these things will comprise Metal Gear Solid 5.
Now, there's a lot of speculation amongst the fans, kind of where this is set in the Metal Gear universe. Is it after Peace Walker? Is this Snake? Is it Big Boss? What can you tell us about for the fans that want to understand how this fits into your grand Kojima vision of Metal Gear? Where is this story set?
So Ground Zeroes takes place almost immediately after Peace Walker, and then the main part of the game, Phantom Pain, takes place 9 years later.
Another thing the fans were wondering about is David Hayter, because he said on Twitter earlier today that he wasn't even asked to come back as the voice. So there's going to be a new actor playing Snake or Big Boss?
So I can say that yes, it will be a new person. I can't say who just yet.
But David, it was interesting, he said, I wasn't even asked. Why did you not bring him back for this one?
いや、
What we're trying to accomplish here is recreate the Metal Gear series. It's a new type of Metal Gear game, and we wanted to have this reflected in the voice actor as well.
Through the trailer, there's so many amazing moments. There's the horseback riding we see with a familiar character in there. Tons of open world action, it feels like. It's such an ambitious game. There's this group, the Diamond Dogs. What can you tell us about them? There's been lots of rumors, like, does that have to deal with blood diamonds or where the game is set? That's a new group, right, for Metal Gear?
There are many different meanings behind this name. I think you touched on a few of them, and of course there's also the David Bowie album as well. But really, this is the name of his new unit. He loses his old unit, he has to create a new one. This is the name. The name signifies many things. A dog, the Diamond Dogs, so it's like a dog of war. They work for money and do many dirty things, but at the same time, they have pride. And that's where the diamonds come in. They fight, and they fight for money maybe, but they have their pride.
Looks like Snake's got a horn out of his head or something?
He actually has some debris embedded into his skull. Debris and bone as well.
Oh, okay, interesting. So that will be, and he's also got, it seems like he has that sort of cyborg-like arm there. Is that something that then, as you play the game, will you have sort of abilities with that arm then?
そうですね、それは。
There'll be different ways that, depending on the player, they may be able to do different things with that arm.
The Metal Gear series has always been known for, great stealth, and then it's kind of blended more into action. If you were to describe Metal Gear Solid 5, what is it feels like it's open world. It's epic. We see the horseback riding, we see, vehicles. So much happening. What's the style of the gameplay that you really want? Because if it's a reboot of the series, it may feel different too.
Metal Gear Solid has always been based around this concept of sneaking and infiltration, but up till now, it's very much been kind of like a story on rails. You sneak in, but you're kind of limited in what you could do. This time, what we want to do is create a real open world and a realistic infiltration. So, you don't just suddenly show up at the stage and sneak in. You figure out when you're going to go to the place and sneak in. You figure out how you're going to get there. Maybe you don't go there right away. Maybe you sidetrack and do a side mission along the way. And if you do that, maybe the strategy will change when you finally get to your final objective. So it's more of a realistic approach to infiltration, and there are many options available to the player. It's not something that's very limited to a certain design. It's a completely free design and very realistic. So as an example, say the player has to sneak into a certain area and help a certain person, and they show up at night. It may be dark and they have a hard time seeing anything. So they maybe want to use Jeep's headlights to see. But if they do that, they'll probably be found. So maybe they try to use a flashlight and sneak in. There's still a chance that they may be found. But, the guards will probably be less, there'll be less guards than if you went in during the day. On the other hand, if you went during the day, it may be easier to navigate. You can see what you're doing much more clearly, but of course there'll be more guards there, and it'll be much easier for you to get found. So, really it's up to the player to decide what's the best strategy to infiltrate a certain area. So, as we showed in the Fox Engine presentation, time passes within the game in real time. There's a 24-hour time cycle. So, it's up to the player to decide at what time they decide to, embark on their mission.
Fox Engine, how do you think it's going to change the way you're designing Metal Gear Solid 5? Because obviously, you're known always for kind of pushing the visuals, but it feels like now you have better tools to sort of design, and this sounds like an incredibly ambitious game, so that's going to help, I would imagine.
グラフィック
One thing I want to make clear is, just graphics. That was not, our goal in creating the Fox Engine. What we want to change the entire way that we create a game. Up until Metal Gear Solid 4, I guess, we approached game creation sort of as craftsmen, and we, worked on every single little detail by hand, and, put a lot of detail to everything. And while that's great, we want to use technology to our advantage and, make things easier to create a game. And so Fox Engine was designed to work more efficiently and give us this boost of technology in game design. We wanted to really shift the amount of time spent creating the game, from creating assets to actually doing the game design. In the past, maybe a programmer would spend a lot of time creating a certain system or asset. But now a level designer can go in there and create a stage on their own. They can create a stage, they can do the lighting, and pretty much create a stage by themselves. So really, the time goes from asset creation and programming to actual game design, and allows us to focus more on the game design.
Now, one thing someone asked me on Twitter which I thought was interesting was you have Metal Gear Solid 5, and it's not a 5, it's a V. And at the end you have that line, V has come too. Why did you change from numbers to Roman numerals?
Up until MGS 1 through 4, of course, we used, regular Arabic numerals. But, since then, the West has really caught up. And I think, in many ways, we're threatened by games from the West, and there's a lot of competition out there. So we really want to reinvent ourselves with this game, reinvent the series. And so shifting over from 5 to V represents our will for victory. V stands for victory. And this is what we want to accomplish with this game, is kind of take back, our leadership and strive for victory. So that's why we shifted from Arabic numerals to this Roman numeral V.
But what do you, you always have a theme to your games, or, you have a message that you want to put in the games. For Metal Gear Solid 5, what is this story about? And we talk about phantom pains, we talk about comas, and, getting older. But what do you think this game, when you first said, I want to make Metal Gear Solid 5, what did you want to make this game about?
Well, I do have a concept and a theme in mind for Metal Gear Solid 5. From the beginning, I've had this in my mind, but I can't say it. I can't reveal that just yet. But what I can say is that, Metal Gear has always been about, these themes of anti-war, anti-nuke. It's always had these messages, and it's always about what to pass on to the next generation. Metal Gear Solid 1 was about genes, 2 was about memes, 3 was scenes, 4 was sense, and Peace Walker was peace. So of course, Metal Gear Solid 5 does have a key concept as well, but I can't reveal it just yet. I can't say that it's a very heavy theme.
Playing the entire game as one character?
Yes, you'll be playing as one character. No riding. You can play Revengeance for that.
What we see, with him waking up in that trailer, is that the start of the Phantom Pain?
Yeah.
That is correct. You wake up, and you're a snake waking up, and then that's how you enter Metal Gear Solid 5, this really big open world.
Now, there are all these hallucinations, and, people loved at the VGAs, this, the whale that sort of came out. That introduces, I think, a lot of interesting possibilities for you with the supernatural or sort of fantastical. And Metal Gear is, a game that has always, it's been rooted in kind of real military technology, and, there's obviously been, you've had some fun with it, but it's been very realistic. How are you planning to blend sort of the realism of Metal Gear with some of these more supernatural elements?
There, of course, will be a balance between things that are very real and a little bit of supernatural elements as well. But it will be primarily real. It's real, primarily a real game. But that said, it does take place, 9 years later, roughly around 1984, that era. So, there are influences from that era within this game. If I were to give, percentage for the balance, I'd say maybe 80% real, and then the other 20% maybe sci-fi or with a little bit of supernatural elements.
Will that then change up the gameplay, because it allows you to do things with, dreams and supernatural abilities and hallucinations that can change up the style of gameplay?
Probably not.
All right, I'm now here with, of course, the one and only Mr. Hideo Kojima. You're here in Los Angeles working on the voiceover sessions for Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain. And big announcement today that Kiefer Sutherland is now the voice of Snake. And I think fans had always thought this might be a possibility, even after the VGAs. People thought they heard his voice, and then certainly at GDC it was more evident. Why did you want Kiefer to be the voice of Snake?
今回の、メタルギアソリッド5っていうのはテーマ的に非常にこう、ダークなというかですね、ちょっと暗い話です復讐がテーマなので、今までみたいにスネークはなんていうんですか、饒舌に語らないで表情と声質で、感情を表すっていう、そういうのを目指しています。でゲームの表現力が高まってホークスエンジンも作ったので本当であればキャラクターを、声と、動きと表情を同じアクターさん俳優さんでやろうと してたんですけども、ちょっといろいろ事情があって、それは叶わなかったんですけども、そういうプロセスをやるということで、まず、最初のファーストステップとして、同じ俳優さんで表情と声を取る、ボイスオーバーを取るっていうことを、今回しようとしててですね、そこで、声と表情をできるっていう、スネークさんが、49歳になりますけども、言葉ではなくて自分の感情を、表情と声質で表せる人を探してたんですけども、友人でありますプロデューサーがアビアラットさんに相談したら、キーファ・サザーランドさんを紹介していただいて、キーファならいいということで、それで、今回オファーをしました。
Now, I'm sure some of the fans will wonder if Snake is he going to look like the Snake we know, or is he going to look like Kiefer Sutherland?
本当は声と表情と、動きですね。これを一つの俳優でやりたいんですよね。で、今回できなかったんですけど、それをやるということは、実際の元の顔を 3D キャプチャーして、その人の顔と声と表情と動きを、その4つをキャラクターにするのが一番いいんですけども、スネークっていうのはやっぱり25年前からある程度イメージがありますから、今回に関しては僕らが作った CG のモデリングに実在する俳優さんのスキンを56人のものをブレンドして作ってますので、顔自体はキーファーさんの顔では今回はないです。どうしてもその究極のフォトリアルっていう世界を作ろうとするとですね、最終的には、ゼロから僕らが作ったキャラクターではやっぱりこのリアリティが出ないと思うので、実在する俳優さんの40何年間の年輪みたいなのが全身顔にも出てますから、最終的には、ライブアクションの映画みたいに、実在する俳優さんにスネークを演じてもらうことになるかもしれませんけど、今回はそこまでまだいけてないです。
Tell me about working with him the first time you met him, because it used to be a trend many years ago of big name Hollywood actors doing games, and I think we've seen a little bit less of that lately. When you first met him, did you have to convince him? Was he excited about it? Tell me where his mind was at.
そのアビさんが間に入ってもらったのもありますし、彼は言ってましたけど、キーファーはメタルギアをやったことはないみたいですけども、息子さんがやられて、それでメタルギアを知ってたので、非常に話を早く進みました。
You said that he, a lot of him is in this role. Have you worked with, is he giving input on the script and the story, or how much does he know, or tell me a bit about how you're collaborating with him on this game.
そうです。まだ言えることとすればですね、今の時点ではそのカイル・クーパーさんにタイトルだけではなくて別の部分もやってもらってるんで、これ非常に期待していただけると思いますけども、具体的にはまだ言えないんですけど。
Are you going to have other Hollywood actors in this game as well, or mostly just Kiefer and then regular voice actors?
5ってことですかね。それはないですけど、次回ではもっと大掛かりにやりたいと思ってます。今回かなわなかったんですけども、本来ならばもうパフォーマンスキャプチャーをしてですね、アクターさんの 3D キャプチャーをして、その人に声と表情と動きをやってもらうっていう、それをやりたかったんですけど、今回できなかったので、次はそれをやるとすれば、ハリウッドのアクターさんをキャスティングして、それで撮る方が効率もいいですし、深みも出るので、それはやりたいと思ってます。なので今までみたいに僕らが作ったキャラクターで僕らが手で作った動きに、ボイスオーバーをするっていうようなことではないと思います。これからのゲーム作りっていうのは表現力が低かった頃っていうのは、例えばスネークがジェフ大丈夫か、ジェフのことを心配してるシーンでジェフ大丈夫かっていう声をテキストを入れないと分からなかったんです。そんな表情もなかったので、顔もなかったのでですね。で今はですね、IOK なくてジェフっていう時の声のトーンと動きと、こういう動きとか、顔の表情だけで気持ちが伝えられるぐらいの、技術があるので、それを使うにはやっぱりそういう、演技っていうか深みのある演技ができる人の声と表情と動きと顔をそのまま作り込む方が、よりいいものができる ので、そちらをまあ今後やってみたいと思います。
I think a lot of fans are probably wondering now, what is the state of the game? Because you've made this announcement today, but we're not seeing any new pieces of the game. How is development going on Metal Gear Solid 5?
順調に遅れてるというかです、遅れてるじゃないですけど、予定通りに進めてますけど、非常に、大きなゲームなんで、作る量も尋常じゃないので、非常にこう今苦戦はしてますけど、まだ楽な時期には入ってません。これから、頑張って作っていきたいと思ってます。
Now you talked previously about Ground Zeroes, Metal Gear Solid 5. Is Kiefer going to be in all parts, like Ground Zeroes and everything?
Yes. グラウンドゼロも、メタルギアソリッド5、ファントムペインもキーパーに出ていただいてます。
Wow, that's very exciting. Now, obviously, there's been lots of talk about PlayStation 4. The new Xbox just got announced. People wondering sort of when we're going to hear about what platforms it's coming out and everything. Can you tell us anything about that?
ここはちょっとまだ言えないです。E3 で発表しますので、この後すぐ、E3 あると思うので、そこで、皆さんにリリースはしたいと思います。
Okay, so you will be at E3, and we're only a couple days away. So next week, hopefully, we'll get some news.
そうですね。はい。E3 で皆さん。
Guest is one of the most influential writer-directors in the video game business. Please welcome the one and only Mr. Hideo Kojima. Mr. Kojima, great to see you, and Sean, everything. So great to have you here. Your first time at our stage here for E3 2014. So tell us, you've been teasing on Twitter, been lots of rumblings on the internet about the Phantom Pain and what you're going to be doing or showing. What are you bringing to E3 this year for the game?
ですね、まずグラウンドゼローズでスネークたちがすごくひどい目に遭ったんですけど、それはまあユーザーの方遊んでいただければ分かると思うんですけど、その後彼らがどうなっていくかっていう、ストーリーの部分がまず一つです。
So one of the things I want to show here, Ground Zeroes, a lot of people were able to experience people that played that game were able to see that Snake and his comrades went through a very tough series of events. So what happens after that, relating the story of what is it that happens after that.
でもう一つは、グラウンドゼローズっていうのはそのオープンワールドになって、自由潜入というか、いろんな潜入ができるようになったんですけども、ファントムペインではそこに時間と天候の概念が入ってすごくマップが200倍に広くなるので、移動するにも時間が変わったり天候が変わったりするっていうそこでの、情報ミッションというかそこでユーザーがどう遊べるかっていうのを今回、プレゼンテーションします。
And the other thing is, well, in Ground Zeroes, Metal Gear went open world, and now I wanted to introduce concepts where in the Phantom Pain, the climate will be changing, the time of the day, the weather will be changing, and the map is 200 times as big. So a little presentation introducing the player through going from one place to another takes a lot of time, and in that time, the time of the day might change, the weather might change. So a presentation that shows a little bit more of that.
We've got some exclusive screenshots that you put together for us that we're going to take a look at from the E3 game demo. You can tell us a bit about some of these teases of on a big screen here. But obviously, this is, I think a lot of people are wondering, it's not a tech demo. This will be a real piece of the game, a gameplay demo that you'll show?
これは、カットシーンですけどリアルタイムのところですね。
This specifically is from a cutscene, but it's all in real time.
Wow.
でスネークたちが、仲間を集めて、自分たちを強くしていく中でいろんなことが起こってくるそのちょっと重要な一枚。
So the one before is a very important one because it ties into the story of Snake and his starts putting people together, starts making his own group, and among that a lot of events take place. So that's a very important screenshot.
ストーリーとゲーム性がすごく今回も、深く関わっているので、すごく感情移入ができるような、ゲームシステムになっています。
So the story and gameplay this time again they're deeply tied. So I've tried to create a game where people will get very emotionally involved into the game.
Yeah, I know there's been lots of questions about, how much will you push the player, the elements of, revenge and torture and all these moments. Is there, you always have a theme for one of your games for the Phantom Pain. I don't know if you're ready to talk about this yet, but what would you say the theme is of the Phantom Pain?
いつも特定のテーマがあるんですけども、 今この場でお答えできるかわからないんですけど、DPP ファントムペインのテーマは何でしょうか？
まあレイスっていうものと、まあ、民族とかというものと、まあ、復讐の連鎖で、どうなっていくかっていうのがテーマで、特にそのファントムペインの前のグラウンドゼロズをやられた方は分かると思うんですけど、スネークたちが世界中からかなりひどいことをされて、その復讐っていう動機づけでオープンワールドの中をいろんなミッションをしていくっていうのがまあ肝になってます。
One of the themes is race, different cultures, and also the chain of revenge that goes along. People that play Ground Zeroes will know by now that Snake went through a very tough series of events, and he seeks revenge. And in this open world, in this big stage, he goes after revenge. So those are the themes.
でまあ、復讐のためにスネークたちがまあちょっと行ってはいけない領域の方に踏み込んでいって、最終的に彼らが、まあ、アウターヘブンというかそのビッグボスにどうつながるかっていうのをユーザーと一緒に体験していくっていうそういうゲームになってます。
So it's a game where you will experience, in seek of this revenge, Snake and his comrades will go to extents that maybe they shouldn't go, and kind of ties the events from the big boss, create this place, Outer Haven, and how it ties into becoming big boss.
Wow. Obviously, we're going to see some of that, I guess, at the demo or hints of it. How are you feeling about sort of the development of the game right now? Obviously, you ship Ground Zeroes. Now you're very focused on the Phantom Pain. How is development going on the Phantom Pain?
でファントムペインの開発はいかがでしょうか？グラウンド
You're
ゼロ
a very busy man.
非常に忙しい方だと思いますけど。
グラウンドゼローズで、まあ、世界中に皆さん遊んでいただいて、でそのフィードバックを当然今回入れてます。なので、一応整理して、ファントムペインの方がより操作感とかですね、いろんなゲームプレイが良くなってます。
So with Ground Zeroes, we released Ground Zeroes. People all over the globe were able to play it, and we received a lot of feedback. We put it together, and based on that, we're making some adjustments, namely controls. The playability will be improved. We're trying to improve it based on a lot of feedback that we got.
まあ、グラウンドゼロズで皆さんが欲しいって言ってた段ボールも今回復活させてますんで、非常に楽しくプレイできるんですけども、マップが200倍なんで、僕らもそんなでかいゲーム作ったことないんですけど、なので、結構大変な状況ですね。
I mean, in Ground Zeroes, a lot of people, some of the feedback were that a lot of people wanted the box back, the cardboard box back. So we put the box back. It's back in the game again. And also, that's it. It's a game that is 200 times bigger than Ground Zeroes. We ourselves have never created something of this scale, so it's pretty tough. The development has been proven to be pretty tough.
Wow. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing the demo at E3. Good, the cardboard boxes that I saw in Kojima Station. You were teasing that. So I look forward to coming and see the demo, and we really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us here on Spike.
Final line of Metal Gear Solid, The Phantom Pain. I'm here.
No, it's not the final line.
With Chris Zimmerman.
Hello. It is not the final line. It is the final line recorded out of Miller's mouth.
That's what I mean.
It's not the final line of the
It's not the final line. People will know that in the year 2020 when they find this phone.
People will know that in the year 2020 when the game is released. final line is up there on 70526. I know you haven't been back long, but I prepared the submissions for you. I'm gonna play you what you did before. It needs to be the same tone of voice, but you need to be more concerned for Snake because this is the first time he's back on a mission after being 9 years in a coma.
I'm breathless with anticipation. Ready. Here we go.
I know you haven't been back long, but I prepared a list of missions for you. Open your iDroid.
I know you haven't been back long, but I prepared a list of missions for you. Open your iDroid.
And when you say, I know you haven't been back long,
Just say that was great.
it was fantastic. Line,
What's that?
This is the last line Miller's going to record for Metal Gear Solid 5. And I'm hoping, like, to get it in one take, like we've gotten everything else out of his mouth in a single take. This guy's amazing.
It's true.
Why is everyone laughing?
I know you haven't been back long, but I prepared a list of missions for you. Open your iDroid.
I must say, that was the best line we've recorded to date. Thank you, Robin Atkin Downs.
They played us like a damn fiddle!
Will the Camp Omega level be revisited in the Phantom Pain, which is the level from Ground Zeroes?
カンプオメガキャンプは TPP に出てきますかって
ですねグランドゼルズを持ってる人はですねオメガキャンプの違うミッションが遊べるようになります今のところ
This is not final yet. It could change in the future, but as for now, the plan is that people that have ground zeros when they acquire the Phantom Pain could be could be playing through the different missions in Camp Omega and ground zeros. Sorry, in the Phantom Pain.
あとちょっと大きな仕掛けがあるんでこれもゲーム業界初の試みなんでちょっと言えないんですけど多分それでそうかとこれはゲームでしかできないことだっていうのが皆さん分かってもらえると思います。はい。
And also early Metal Gear Solid 5, I'm trying something new, something that I don't think I've ever even heard of in the game industry. I can't talk too much about that yet, but hopefully I will be able to surprise a lot of people.
We will forsake our countries. We will leave our motherlands behind us and become one with this earth. We have no nation, no philosophy, no ideology. We go where we're needed, fighting not for country, not for government, but for ourselves. We need no reason to fight. We fight because we are needed. We will be the deterrent for those with no other recourse. We are soldiers without borders, our purpose defined by the era we live in. We will sometimes have to sell ourselves and services. If the times demand it, we'll be revolutionaries, criminals, terrorists, and yes,
皆さんこんにちは、小島です。本日付で、独立スタジオを立ち上げました。その最初のプロジェクトを、プレイステーションと始めたいと思っています。プレイステーションとともにですね、大きなフランチャイズとなる、斬新なゲームを作っていきたいと思ってますので、よろしくお願いします。
ワクワクしますね。皆さんもそうだと思いますが、私もこれから本当に楽しみにしてます。小島さん、プレイステーションの代表して、なおかつファンとともに、小島さんの新しい出発を応援します。はい、ありがとうございます。頑張ってください。ありがとうございます。
いうのを今日そのメインでお話にしたんですけど、今年の1月にマークさんと一緒に世界中のスタジオを訪問して一番最適なエンジンはどれかっていうのに一緒に旅をしていただいて、その中で出会った、ゲリラさん、フェルマンさんのエンジンを使ってコラボをして、よりいいゲーム、よりいい、これからのいい業界を作っていこうということを、決意表明みたいなことを。
We create a meeting room that we actually have in the office, and here we use it as a reference of how accurate is our lighting being.
ここでリフレクションとかライティングのおかしいところを発見して、ゲリラさんに、伝えて、そこでコラボしながらさらにソリッドにしていくっていう作業をしています。
So here we check the reflections, how the lighting is working. We give that feedback back to Guerrilla, and this makes improvements and pushes the engine forward.
あと僕らそのカットシーン好きなので、シネマティックのツールをすごくこうもっと、使えるように作ったりっていうのを今やって、それを共有しようと思ってます。
And also we're very fond of cutscenes of cinematic scenes, so that for those parts we're also giving feedback to Guerrilla, so they make adjustments to this, and it is a task that we're handling together.
Model.
These are the textures. Without textures, sorry.
That's incredible to see what you're able to do with it inside the world. So this, the great thing here is what we saw just now and at the Game Awards. This is in engine, so now you're building assets that will be in the final game. So this is effectively playable now, right?
当然もっと良くなります。
Of course, yeah, but by the time you see it in the game, it will look much better than this.
Keep words away from my mouth. Nothing I say now so if all I do is standing in my way, it's you I have to choose. But please don't take it the wrong way.